telling you a story that will blow your mind. Today we are telling you a story that will make you weep. Today, this story is about to get sick. Daniel Kwame J, I see you not everybody. Thanks so much to the former President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, for joining us. Nana Konedu Ajiman Rawlings, former First Lady of Ghana. We want to say thank you so much for joining us. Samira Baumia is also here. Thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate you. Oh, and we see you, former President of the Republic of Ghana, John Ajekumku, for standing ovation. For all the wonderful personalities, please sit down. Thank you. And I see so many students who will run the roll call later in the class. Today we are talking about Harry T. Moore. Harry T. Moore. Harry is spelled Harry. T. Moore, T for Tyson, and Moore, Moore. My producer has posted a photograph of Harry T. Moore, Harry Tyson Moore. His story is going to make you sick. This is the man. Slim, very handsome. By the age of 25, he already had 2 children, and his life ended with just 2 children. Today, my brother, my sister, if you forgot to bring your handkerchief into the class, you may have to use the palm to wipe tears from out of your eyes. If you are ready, with respect for Tyson, Harry Tyson Moore, a standing ovation. Harry T. Moore was born on the 18th day of November in 1905. 4 years before Kwame Nkrumah was born. Harry T. Moore was born in Houston, not in Texas this time around, but Houston in Florida. His father was a man who kept the water tanks of the company known as the Seaboard Airline Railroad. He was responsible for their water tanks. He also had a small shop in front of their house in Houston, Florida, where they sold provisions. It was a poor family. His mother was a full-time housewife. By the age of 9, our hero's father became very sick and died. By the age of 9, he had already become a half orphan. Harry T. Moore was going through a lot of trouble. His father was dead, and he was the breadwinner for the family. The mother was now forced to go onto the cotton fields and start working on the fields 20 hours a day in order to be able to make something to take care of her children. In fact, and the interesting thing was that he was the only child of his parents. But there were 2 other children from family who had come to be with the family, and they were taking care of them. But the moment the husband died, quickly they sent back the 2 children because they could not afford. Harry T. Moore's father was gone when he was barely 9 years old. His mother had to work on the cotton plantation in order to make so much money, just enough to feed her only child, Harry T. Moore. My brother, my sister, this is where the story is going to get thick. At a point, the mother couldn't take care of him anymore, because she was growing older and older and weaker, and decided to send him all the way to live with family. Just as other people had sent their children to come and live with them. She had 2 sisters who lived in Daytona Beach in the same Florida. And one of them was a nurse, the other one was a teacher. They were very much enlightened and well educated. That was the turning point of the life of our hero today, Harry T. Moore. He learned so much from his mother's sisters. It was a black area. In fact, it was not far away from a place known as Jackson. And over there, he would go and sit down with a lot of black people in the town of Jacksonville, learn from them, and they were a very, very proud black people. They were people who had gone through slavery. They were a people who had suffered oppression. They were a people who were ready to talk their history and uphold their African heritage. He learned black consciousness from the community of Jacksonville. He moved from one family to the other. And it was so good in those days. Any black man could just enter another black man's house, sit down and listen to stories, and even share food and move out. He was so enlightened right at that age. And then, after 2 years of living with his mother's sisters, he decided to return to his own mother. So, he went back to Suwannee County in 1919. In 1919, he was only 14 years old and enrolled in the high school program of Florida Memorial College. Now, over the next 4 years, when he turned 18, he excelled in his studies, and in school he was so brilliant they called him Doc, short form for doctor. He was extremely brilliant. In May 1925, my brother, my sister, our hero was 19 years old. He graduated from Florida Memorial College with a degree which was good enough for him to become a teacher. All his life he wanted to teach, and his dream had come true. But he had to be relegated to only black schools. In fact, that was what he wanted to do. He wanted to teach black people, and his degree and his color would only allow him to teach in black schools. That was where he met his future wife. His future wife was only 4 years older than him, and she was called Vida Sims. Harriet Vida Sims. Harriet Vida Sims was approaching 24, and our hero was also approaching 20 when they met, and they were both teachers. But Vida Sims had stopped teaching, and she was working for an insurance company, making quite some good money. When they met, they fell in love. His wife was 4 years older than him, and they moved into his wife's area, and they ended up in his wife's parents' home in Sims, right there in Florida. After some time, they made enough money to move into their own home, and that was where the activism started. Oh my God. His wife Vida Sims returned to teaching. She was at the same time working for the insurance company. They started activism, going into the lynchings that were happening in America. Black people were being killed night and day. A lot of black people did not have access to education. A lot of them were not even interested in education. They had lost hope in the system. So much injustice. Black people were not allowed to vote. Black people were not even given the opportunity to register to vote. Our hero for today, Harry T. Moore, went into it, investigated some of the lynchings, and went to court. My brother, my sister, employing some of the biggest black judges of his time, people like Thurgood Marshall, who went to court and was able to overturn some of the decisions. Today, this story is about to make you cry. My brother, my sister, he got married at the age of 20. His wife was 24. And they got married, my brother, my sister, on Christmas Day in 1926. And I need you to note that Christmas Day in 1926, he was born, my brother, my sister, on the 18th day of November. In 1905, he got married on Christmas Day. Please note that he got married on Christmas Day. I'm going to return to this 2 solid times, so I need you to remember Listen to this, my brother, my sister. He and his wife were so happy. They were investigating black issues. They were also investigating labor issues and were in serious activisms to be able to have the system pay black people the same amount of money they were paying white people. Black people can do the same work, yet they will not be given the same pay as white people. They fought against it. They organized a lot of demonstrations, and they were a threat to the system. Now the Ku Klux Klan started targeting our hero, Harry T. Moore. They started chasing him around, trying to assassinate him. But he was most of the time very careful. My brother, my sister, see what happened now. Because of the agitation and the activism to have equal salaries paid to black people as white men, see what happened now. They were sacked from their schools. He and his wife were removed from the school where they were teaching, all because they were fighting for labor equality and parity. They were sacked from the school. So they returned home with no work to do. But that was the time the NAACP decided that they were going to be able to employ him. And the NAACP simply means National Association of Advanced Colored People, right? My brother, my sister, NAACP decided to employ him. And there he worked with the NAACP for just a small amount of money for livelihood. In fact, he was the first person to open a branch of the NAACP when he opened that branch in Florida. He was able to get a lot of people to be able to be part of the black movement, NAACP. And he was able to go to court and push for black people to be able to vote. And he succeeded when the Supreme Court ruled that it was wrong to have black people not vote because black people are also human beings. My brother, my sister, in those days, there were hospitals that were meant for white people alone. White people could go to any hospital in America, but black people would only have to go to hospitals for black people. Black people were treated like animals, and black people could only go to hospitals meant for them, just like the veterinary, which is meant for animals. My brother, my sister, I need you to remember that as well, because we'll get to it very soon. Now, see what happened now. When they were sacked, now our hero for today, Harry T. Moore, was the one who became the breadwinner. He had to work with the NAACP, National Association of Advanced Colored People, to be able to make a living. And he was such a strong force to reckon with. He opened a branch in Florida, and the membership was so huge. He was able to get black people to vote during the elections. My brother, my sister, at the same time, he was able to agitate and fight for equal salaries for black people. He moved from ghetto to ghetto, encouraging black people to send their children to school, and they themselves should also go to school. He told them that education will be the only thing that will make the black man come at par with the white man. He was seen moving from ghetto to ghetto. As he was doing this agitation, the Ku Klux Klan was still looking for him to take him down. My brother, my sister, they returned to the university. And over there at the university, he and his wife attended the Bethune-Cookman College, a historically black college in Daytona Beach. And when they finally came out, listen to the interesting thing. They got married in 1926. 2 years later, in 1928, they had their very first daughter by name Annie Rosalia, nicknamed Peaches. In fact, she died very young. And then, by the age of 25, my brother, my sister, in 1930, they had another child, and she was a female by name Juanita Evangeline. She died at the age of 85, long after his parents had died. My brother, my sister, look at the interesting thing that happened. I'm coming to the end of the story. When he had his second child in 1934, that was the same year he and his wife were sacked from the school where they were teaching. And they had to now struggle to be able to make a living. Now, the best way they can bring you down is to make sure that economically you are suffocated, strangulated, so that you come begging, and then you will loosen your grip on your whims and caprices. My brother, my sister, see what happened now. Now, there was a case that happened in 1949. It was known as the Groveland case, Groveland. Now, the Groveland case was when 4 black people were said to have raped a white woman. And for that matter, the system was looking for him, including the FBI, looking for all 4 of them. One of them escaped, but was tracked down and shot and killed like an animal. Now, those who stayed in America were also arrested. One of them was a 16-year-old minor. They were beaten behind bars very terribly and forced to confess that they actually raped the white woman. 2 of them confessed, and they were sentenced to death by hanging. Now, the 16-year-old was supposed to go to jail for life imprisonment. Our hero for today, Harry T. Moore, went into the case, investigated it, and he got the best black lawyer in America at that time, Thurgood Marshall. And he was the one who sat on the case, ran it upside down, and was able to overturn it. Now, when it was overturned, it became very, very, very controversial. White people went to the police station asking the sheriff to open up the people so they will beat them and kill them. They are rapists and we need to kill them. That was what they said. They started burning houses around. The Ku Klux Klan was part of it. Remember, the Ku Klux Klan is a white superiority group. It's a white group that believes that white people are superior to any other race. My brother, my sister. They went to the police station and ordered the sheriff to bring out the black people who had raped the white woman so they will lynch them. But the sheriff decided not to do that. They had to go to court. So on the day that the court said that the whole thing had to be overturned and they would have to retrial, the sheriff himself got angry. You know what he did? He went into the cells of the black people and opened fire at them. 2 of them he shot. One of them died immediately, instantly. The other one survived and was sent to the hospital. And at the hospital, he recovered and told the whole world how the sheriff just came in. They were just sitting down doing nothing, and he opened fire on them because he was angry that the court said the death by firing squad accusation and verdict must be overturned. My brother, my sister, this was what they did. And our hero was able to get justice for the people. At the end of the day, my brother, my sister, those who survived got justice. See what happened now? He went into some other cases. He was able to do a lot of things. But on Christmas Day in 1951, remember I told you we'll get to Christmas Day. On Christmas Day in 1951, when the whole world was celebrating Christmas, the Ku Klux Klan succeeded in planting a bomb in the house of our hero, Harry T. Moore. And my producer is going to put up a photograph of the house, Harry T. Moore, so that you get to see the house that they lived in. It looked like a small cottage, my brother, my sister, and the bomb exploded. Now, when the bomb exploded on Christmas Day, listen to what happened. It injured wife and husband. It injured wife and husband. Our hero was fatally wounded. And when they carried him to the hospital, my brother, my sister, the hospital said, we do not treat black people. This is an all-white hospital. And if you are black, you must go look for your own hospital. While they were carrying him to a black hospital, he died. My brother, my sister, he died on Christmas Day because the hospital he was sent to refused to treat him. He died. Yes, he died. His wife was able to survive. His wife was able to survive, but she also died just 7 days after. My producer is going to put up a photograph of the house of Harry T. Moore that was bombed, so that you see exactly what kind of house they lived in. See what happened now. Now when Harry T. Moore died on Christmas Day, his wife was able to survive. But she also died, my brother, my sister. Yes, she died on the 3rd day of January, the following year, 1952, just a few days after her husband had died. Today we remember the sad story of Harry T. Moore, a man who the system betrayed, a man who spent all his life fighting for black people's justice, a man who went into all the cases of black people. This is the house, and the house was bombed, so you can see that a lot of the doors are broken, and you can see that a lot of things have flown helter-skelter. This was the house they live in. Imagine this house. They lived here, and this was where they planted the bomb. Nobody was ever convicted. 50 years later, they went into this issue and they were able to convict 4 people. Unfortunately, all those 4 people had long died. 50 solid years after this incident. So that was what happened. They couldn't find anybody to put on trial. All the people who were accused, the 4 people belonging to the Ku Klux Klan, had long died. When our hero died, the NAACP gathered all black people and made a fundraising to be able to take care of the young children who had been born. There was a poem that was written and recited by Langston Hughes, and I'm going to play that poem to you right now. That was what was used for the fundraising, and it's called Harry T. Moore. Listen.
My name is Harry T. Moore. A lot of you know me from frequenting your homes, your churches, your schools, and such. As I look out upon this audience, I see a lot of confused faces. People who doubt whether they should walk the streets at night. Folks who question if their Negro children will get a decent education.
Harry T. Moore, recited by Langston Hughes, who himself was a great black personality. Now, this was recorded in 1951. My brother, my sister, that is why the quality is like that. Today we remember you. So many streets have been named after our hero for today, Harry T. Moore. Yes, so many streets in America. In fact, in 2004, the Brevard County had created the Harry T. Moore and Harriet Moore Memorial Park. In March 2013, the Harry T. and Harriet V. Moore Post Office in Cocoa, Florida, was named in their honor. My brother, my sister, several other such outfits and landmarks were named after this one. He became the very first victim, the very first martyr of the NAACP, or the very first martyr of the civil rights movement. Today we remember you, Papa. Papa uninyaminko wate. Papa uninyaminko. Papa uninyaminko wate. Papa uninyaminko. Oh, Papa uninyaminko. He died, my brother, my sister, Harry T. Moore. He died a young man, as if he knew. He married so early. And he died, my brother, my sister, at the age of 46. He became the very first martyr of the civil rights movement. He and his wife were murdered by the Ku Klux Klan. 50 years later, when investigations were opened, they realized that 4 people were involved in the bombing, but they had long died, all of them. Justice was never done. Today we remember you, Papa. Uninyaminko. Uneyaminko wate. Papa uneyaminko. In the burden of knowledge, I ask you, now that you know what to do, be an any lay mini about fe zunda kakane mezaka yine. Ye papa ngobo kaya nfifia ye nyanu kai na wo. Ba na enwe be den lele anjima singa be konne. Lele anjima singa beri. It's been the African History class brought to you by the kind courtesy of Mark Bansi.